All right, it's 6 o'clock. We'll come back from recess. Thanks everybody for being patient. Next we have a little roundtable workshop with the residents of Windmill Ridge. To get into that, I want to say a few things. We have seen y'all the last couple months coming in. You've been very vocal and brought a lot to our attention. As promised, we have looked into everything that was brought to us, and we believe that the annexation of the property was done very publicly. There were a lot of public notices, there were public hearings, and an ordinance was adopted. Obviously, there were some procedural missteps, small towns, small staff. However, the time to challenge such things has come and gone, and so we believe it still stands. And we also believe that it's a value added to our community. That's when we voted to annex the property anyway, to bring more people, more value into the town, between having more residents who can come and volunteer and chair boards and be with us and to help us grow and serve the residents. I understand it is very frustrating when stuff happens like this that you cannot anticipate. It is a super unfortunate series of events that has happened. And I also want you to know that nobody up here was responsible for doing that in 2020. And since then, especially in the last couple of years, we have made significant strides in city staffing and procedures, and in order to make sure that we take care of everything and better not have these things. And we have been slowly chipping away and fixing problems that as they come up. We didn't know anything about this. But when Windmill Ridge was annexed and built and welcomed into the town, they received all our full attention, just like Reed Ranch, just like Old Town. As a matter of fact, when I got an email personally from a resident in Windmill Ridge who had a problem with the developer that he wanted me to address with the developer, hey mayor, this is not being done, take care of it. I reached out to the developer, I said, hey Joe, get on out there and fix it. And he said, yes ma'am. And he went out there and fixed it. And you get the same services and the same attention as the others. And we do have to remember that we serve the city as the whole, and see everybody as a body. And we see y'all as part of our city body. And we would like you to embrace us and work with us. Also, please know, and I'm sure if you've seen the agenda, there's a lot of important things going on. So we'll be cognizant of the time and that we have to do all the other things on this meeting. So we won't probably go much later than 6:30 on this if we make it that far, depends on how our discussion goes. Also note, this needs to be a civil and calm in discussion, and if we start getting yelling and unruly and calling for our heads, we're gonna be done. Hey, you've asked for my resignation once already, Frank. So if we're gonna go there, we're gonna move on to our, we're gonna be on to our next event. So are we all in agreement with that? Okay.
Can I start?
Yeah. Jeez, Frank, do you want to go first?
25 minutes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, originally, I'd asked the mayor and the city administrator for any night of the week after 7 p.m. so we have a dedicated time to do this, so it wouldn't be in the middle of a council meeting.
No.
The first response I got back was, the mayor will meet with you between 8 and 4. But no one here can come between 8 and 4. So I appreciate Mr. Williford and Mrs. Witten and the others that at least got us this time. But now we're on limited time because they chose not to have a time when we could all attend. If it's that important to everybody to be right, it seems like we would have done that.
Well,
So,
I was given the impression that meeting at any Wednesday between the times that I was here would be okay. When I spoke with y'all on Main Street Festival, I said anytime Wednesday can. Oh, really? and okay, we'll go back and take it to you. So that was an additional offer if it worked, not just limiting.
Chance, could you help me pop this, because I am like a boomer and I don't know how to use computers?
Certainly.
So,
There are no viruses on here.
not that I know of, but we'll find out real quick. It was brand new.
Andrea.
So, I give you guys a packet because you know I like giving you guys handouts. I was a school teacher for 10 years, so I believe in handouts. But I did want to thank everybody. And as the mayor said, it has been a very spirited and a very passionate time. What I do want to say is that most of you on this council are absolved from anything that happened in 2020. Right? Y'all weren't here, you weren't on the council, you're absolved. But what I will say is that the city is not. And now that you are representatives of the city, you are not resolved, and we have to fix the wrong. Is it this one? Oh, you're gonna set it up for me. Don't, it's right there, which is PowerPoint.
Who are you?
I'm sorry, I'm Frank Salerno. I live at 100 Morgan Street in Wilmette Ridge.
Okay.
And we're here to discuss the annexation of our property when we didn't know about it.
Okay.
Can you help me get this up, Mr. Williford? As you can see on your first, the way we got this started was there was a rezoning letter sent out that was very vague. And you can see it in context there. It just says that, you know, we're going to have an election or a vote on rezoning your property because it was requested. I'd like to know who requested it. You're beautiful. That's perfect. Thank you. I just click this button, it goes.
Yes, sir.
So do we have an answer from the council on who requested the rezoning?
It's in the documents that you provided to everybody. It's the first page. Right?
No,
It just says,
it just says it's requested. Who requested the rezoning? No, that's incorrect.
not the rezoning that we just did.
Oh, the
rezoning.
rezoning.
Because it wasn't
Oh, yeah.
No.
That was the city.
Okay, let me get this straight.
Oh, because the city has an obligation to rezone property.
Yeah.
I'm challenging the annexation. But how we knew about the annexation was from this letter.
The city has an obligation to be sure that the correct zoning is assigned, and so we were,
Okay.
that's.
So I want anybody that had a house built by Malibu Structure, Drake Construction, or Shepherd to raise your hand if you were told you would not pay city taxes and you would receive city services. Raise your hand.
You were told that by whom exactly?
All three home builders and Drake Construction
Sorry, you said not pay
Alabama?
city taxes and,
receive city services.
It also states on my paperwork.
That what?
well, I just didn't understand,
Yeah.
hear the word.
And also, Mr. Lamb is representing Drake Construction. You specifically.
Well, there's two different companies, because there's Drake Construction, which is my business partner only that built the two specs
Okay.
in the subdivision. I am Drake Development.
Okay. Do you do the home building and the selling of the lots?
I did the selling of the lots, not the home building.
Okay, that's fine. So, let's get through that. I'm just saying, like, we were all misled. Someone misled the builders, or the builders just flat out lied. I don't know. Is the county here? The county show.
A representative from the county, allow me to introduce Ms. Deidre Dietrich, who is the county assessor. She is the one who assesses.
Do we have, can the county tell us what?
Chief appraiser, I'm not from the county, I work with the appraisal district.
Okay, so can you tell us if Windmill Ridge is on the appraisal rolls?
It's on the appraisal rolls as of 2026.
So it didn't happen until this year, correct? Next year. Yeah, so do you know when it occurred? Because in August it was not.
So, in August, we had July 16th, we received the annexation ordinances from the city of Paradise.
Okay, so July 16th of 2025, the annexation was voted in 2020. Well, let's move on. I don't know if we're going to get through it. Let's move on. Mr. Whitten, you've asked me a couple of times about why would the builders go to the city if they're not in the city for building permits? Because we're ETJ. If you're a half mile of less than 5,000 inhabitants, you're an ETJ.
Our ETJ does extend a half
I
mile, yes
understand,
it
but I
does.
don't know of any.
You're automatically the ETJ. It's not,
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, but have other builders adjacent to the city limits in the ETJ come to us?
No,
FX5.
no, they are,
That's
right.
abnormal then.
No,
No, it's not a-
when, if you're in the ETJ right there next, and you are right there next on the boundary line, you can request annexation. FX5 is not right next to the
But
boundary
he's
line.
saying
As far as permitting.
permitting.
For permitting, now I will tell you that our 4245 agreement with the county handles development in our ETJ. We do not, we only do.
So we are, but
There
the
was
landowners
annexation.
Windmill Ridge is part of an ETJ for Paradise.
No, the landowners in Windmill Ridge are part of the city limits because.
Before they were part of the city limits, it was part of the ETJ.
Before it was annexed in, it was part of the
Okay,
ETJ.
let's just make sure that's clear, right? Because you can't annex it if it's not part of the ETJ, right? So that's why you have the voting, okay? So we'll move on. Let's get to the crux of the matter, all right? Let's talk about the legal right to annex, okay? First law will state that there has to be a written request from the developer or the landowners to be annexed.
Yes.
There was a written request, it's in your folder, section, I think it's tab 3, from Drake Construction to the city. I want you to note that this written request was on September 22nd, 2020. An annexation process cannot start until the written agreement comes into the city. On the next page, you will see the public notice in the Wise County Messenger for the September 28th public hearing on September 16th. You cannot have a public hearing established until the a written request is sent to the city. The written request from Drake Construction was sent to the city on September 22nd. On September 16th was a public hearing notice. It was already established. That's fallacy number one. That's a legal procedure that was incorrect, number one. Now, there's a bunch of ways to disannex. One is called voidable, one is called void, and then you have all the ways you can petition from the city, from the citizens, which will likely happen or we go to court. I mean, those are the other choices. Okay, now, general law cities, you have to have multiple hearings to pass this stuff. Apparently Paradise doesn't do that. I'm not sure if that's legal or not, but you should have a public hearing and then have a additional hearing or meeting to vote. In Paradise, we didn't do that. We had a public hearing, and then we had a vote on the annexation, and then we had a vote on the service agreement after the vote on the annexation. Well, that's not accurate either. You have to vote on the service agreement before you can vote on the annexation. So if you look at tab 3, council conducted a public hearing. Then on the next page, Mr. Ormsby made a motion to adopt the ordinance, and then Ms. Black made a motion to adopt the service plan. That's backwards. Service plan has to be agreed upon by the city council before you can adopt it. Any questions on that? So that's a second legal process. Would we agree that that's a wrong legal process? You're the lawyer. That's not?
I'm not going to speak to the legality procedures. I'll just reiterate that we believe it was done in the
Okay,
time.
we're going to sit here and say,
Challenge on procedure errors has.
that's fine. That's fine.
I can acquiesce that a lot of things didn't go right like they were supposed to for many years in this town because it was small and everybody just did the
Hey,
best
but
they could. However,
I appreciate that. I grew up in a small town too. I'm not John Cougar Mellencamp, but I grew up in a small
I'm
town,
not.
right? I totally understand small town mentality. I totally understand what happened. But that doesn't absolve the fact that the procedures weren't followed. The last thing that you need to understand, I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything, the last thing we need to talk about is the development agreement. Where is the development agreement that has to be signed, that has to be legally signed? That's not it. Next one. Section 43. If you're going to voluntarily annex land that's agricultural land, it's subject to a development agreement according to 212. There is no development agreement.
Should be a subordinance agreement.
There's a subdivision agreement,
had
which is
a-
not a development agreement.
There was a service agreement and there was a development.
Service agreement is not a development
There
agreement.
was also a development
No,
agreement.
there wasn't. It wasn't supplied to me on a
You have it right here.
subdivider agreement. That's not a development agreement.
It's, those are
No, they're not.
interchangeable.
No, they're not. A development agreement has to specifically state annexation in the process of annexing.
I believe that was covered in the service agreement that is specific to the annexation, whereas.
Service agreement is not a development agreement.
No, but it is the agreement that is specific to the annexed area, and that's why it says service plan for annexed area. The subdividers agreement, which
So,
for our purposes is also considered a developer's agreement. Those terms are interchangeable. Those came into.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
I believe they're, I mean.
Let's say they're interchangeable. Let's say that the developer agreement and the subdivider agreement are interchangeable.
Which we don't,
We have the annexation.
We don't agree.
Service,
but
and
let's,
then we have
for
the
conversation's sake.
subdivider.
Service agreement is different than development.
Specific is, well, that's the one that's specific to annexation.
No, it's not. Look at the law. It's on the screen.
I'm not a,
I'm not either, but it says it. Eligibility subject to development agreement. Number 2, the landowner must decline to make the described subsection. In the subdivider agreement, Mr. Lamb signed the subdivider agreement. By signing the subdivider agreement, he is now accepting that Windmill Ridge will be part of the ETJ. In order for him not to accept that, he has to decline it. He has to decline the land. It's right here. The governing body must make a written contract. Here's your ETJ stuff. Provide for infrastructure. Okay, so, number 7, provide for annexation of land as a whole. It's not in the subdivider agreement. At the time, a municipality makes an offer to the landowner to enter into an agreement under this subchapter, the municipality must provide the landowner with a written disclosure. That includes a statement that landowner is required to enter land, blah, 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 blah. B2, an agreement for which a disclosure is not provided in accordance with the subdivision, B1, is void. The subdivider agreement, even if we say the subdivider agreement is part of the development agreement, fantastic. When was the subdivider agreement signed? Flip it over.
that was for phase 2.
We're in phase 2.
Yes, you are, and it was.
I have no information on phase 1.
He was given a permission, I believe, to do a plat in 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 is the only one that required extensive work for grounding, grading, and installation of roads and stuff, so
The subdivider agreement
I
was
could
approved.
not find one for
The
that.
subdivider agreement was approved and signed by the mayor, I believe it was the other mayor, not you, and by Mr. Lamb on 8/5/2021.
That would have been under Roy.
Okay? You cannot move forward on any vote on an annexation unless a development agreement, but we're going to say subdivider agreement, unless a subdivider agreement is signed or rejected. And it was not signed until 8/5. That's a year after the vote. You can't even move forward until you have that. How can we say this is legal? I mean, we can go to court because that's where we're going, unless the city council decides to do the right thing. Because as Mayor Black said last city council meeting to Mr. Ward, sometimes you have to make people mad to correct a wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes the council is going to have to step up and do the right thing. Because you can take your legal advice, but the legal advice is wrong because it's plain and stated. I've consulted attorneys as well, and they say we win on summary judgment. Because of the subdivider agreement, because the written request was not done until after the public hearing. Those are the 2 big ones right there, regardless of everything else. The law is clear. You have to have a development agreement. That is where you get, the development agreement says, the city is going to provide this ETJ with all of this infrastructure, which you did. The city is providing water, this is this. That was agreed in the subdividers agreement. It says it in there. He paid y'all a crap load of money to build all the water. Okay? The city, that's why they have it. So you have an ETJ, and the developer goes to ETJ, say, man.
The service agreement, the service agreement.
Not service agreement.
Annexation is
Subdivision
what provide, I understand, but the service agreement is what is specific to
That other form.
city services for annexed areas, and it shows, outlines as being annexed into the city, what services the city will provide.
Yes, that's your
So
service.
that is,
One thing that he did miss is the annexation must be completed within 90 days of initiation. So from the initial start of all of this, till the end of it has to be 90 days.
so these are procedural missteps, we've already said.
Okay, so
Recognized,
So
we
I'm-
also said that
I'm
the
okay,
law,
it's
my
not,
understanding, and like I said, we have tried to look into this and the steps that the cities to take in the law, and that is why there is a time limit where it calls for voluntary annexation for 2 years to.
That's just procedural.
The problem is,
That's what-
Like the
but that's
city.
for us to, hang on,
or that's.
hang on.
You're
can't
talking
have-
about is
you can't have a
procedural.
Your 2.5 years is correct, right? That is if you're trying to protest and petition out. This is not a protest and petition out. This is not a protest of the annexation. This is a clear violation of annexation laws and that they were not followed, right here. A service agreement cannot be used in place of a development agreement and a voluntary annexation of agricultural land. Development agreement is a specific legal contract offered to landowners, often when a specific person granted. So what happens is, and he did the right thing. Mr. Lamb is really not at fault here, so you're not at fault. You have an ETJ, and he wants to develop it, right? Well, he's thinking, in order for me to develop this sucker, I got 50 acres. I want to maximize my 50 acres, doing what he's supposed to do, right? So I need to make these half-acre lots, but in order for me to make them half-acre lots, I got to have city water, because otherwise I think that'd be like 2 acres, right? To have septic and, right? So he said, hey, city, I got a deal for you. I'll pay for the infrastructure of the water to come into this development if you'll provide them city water, which is a money pit for you guys, because we get charged like 30% more than what we're being charged, right?
You're paying the same thing as everybody else.
We're not paying, yes, you're correct.
Because you're on the.
We are
yes.
paying the same thing. We're
You
not
do not have the same, you do not pay a different rate than I pay.
No, you're exactly right. We pay.
Okay, I want to make that very clear.
We pay
You
the same.
do not pay a different
But
rate.
we don't
than
pay the
anybody
same
else
as
in the city.
retail people from site, but that's regardless. So Mr. Lamb says, okay, great. So the city says, great. And then the city says, in order to control what's going on around us, like if you don't do that with them and don't have code enforcement, we can put up all kinds of crap over there and really junk up the city. So it's a way for the city to help control the area around them that's not part of the city. It's a smart move. It's a smart move by the city.
So we
It's a-
can agree that the spirit of the development was to be part of the city. He
No.
requested annexation to be part of the city so that it would be built out
But
as
it
part
was
of the
wrong.
city. It was
No.
its spirit, what it was intended, what was fully intended by the council.
I intend to
and how
but that's not gonna happen.
it
So intention isn't gonna work.
city.
Intention doesn't work in a legal capacity, right? So he did the right thing.
But that
So
was
your
the
subject
intention.
matter agreement says, blah, 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 here's all the stuff you're gonna do, some of it's public services, infrastructure, water, this and that, right?
Because they'd be part of the city.
No, it doesn't say that. If he signs that subdivision agreement, he is saying, I am now part of the ETJ. He has to decline it because the development agreement specifically says that if you have a development agreement, which we're saying is the same thing, because a development agreement truly states it has to specifically talk about annexation and the years until the annexation can take place. He has to decline it. Look at your statutes, 43.016, Texas Legal Code, that's your annexation legal code. Section 212, that's your ETJ legal code. I've given you all the information you need. The intention may have been to annex, but we can't go on intentions. It was not. So does the city council want to be part of the past? Lack of transparency, lack of integrity, lack of trust, and lack of honor?
And we said we were not gonna be attacking.
I don't think they were.
I said in the past.
I'm saying the
Sure.
past. The past were not dishonorable people.
I didn't say they're dishonorable.
Everybody who has ever been up here at this table has done so with the best intention.
You said dysfunction. I said dysfunction.
Oh, no, you said
I
dishonorable.
apologize. I meant dysfunction because that's the word you used at the time.
Yes, not
We
dishonorable.
need to move forward. And if we agree and we continue to let this annexation happen, you're violating the law.
Well, apparently we violated the law because it's already happened, sir.
So it is our position that there was no violation.
So we're okay with violating the law?
No, because it is our position that it was done
More statements
that's
that I would like
and
to
it
make.
stands.
Well, with
And
the city
that
court
comes with the simple fact that after everything, the annexation goes through, as a city, y'all's responsibility was not done. was not complete. Y'all were not finished. There were several things that the city had to do. One of those is inform.
She just stepped
Whatever that
out.
lady went.
She just stepped out. And she wasn't, I think at the time, she wasn't even the chief assessor. I think we were
No,
still under,
Y'all have to
somebody else, Mickey.
inform, and I want to read this straight out of the code. Notice to county appraiser district. If a city is a taxing unit that imposes ad valorem, and I'll probably mispronounce
Ad
that,
valorem.
taxes within an appraisal district, the city must notify the appraiser's office within 30 days after the city's boundaries are altered. It took y'all 5 years.
I had no clue.
It was more than 30 days after y'all figured out that y'all made a mistake. That the city somewhere back in the past made a mistake. It was more than 30 days after that before y'all filed it with the city tax appraiser.
Doing our homework to figure out what happened. What the heck happened?
Yeah, but y'all figured that out months ago. And y'all just now told them back in July.
That's correct.
Y'all sent out our first
It wasn't
meeting.
We fixed it as soon as we knew, when we knew what to do, we did it.
The rezoning,
That's how that worked. But again, we're
Y'all
going
came
to
out-
just say that I understand. We are not gonna see, obviously, we are not gonna see eye to eye on
Well,
the
simple
legal
fact
status of
is-
this.
it didn't
but
happen within 30 days.
So that's why there is,
From the
that is
initial,
why there's the
the
two
initial
tax-
annexation, from the first time y'all sent out a notice, you have 90 days to complete everything, period, everything. Y'all have to complete it and y'all have to have it annexed. That did not happen. It is more than obvious that that did not happen. Then from that day, y'all have 30 days to let the city clerk know and the county tax assessor know. It took 5 years. At what point in time does the annexation of Windmill Trails become void?
I don't think it ever does, that's.
It does. It becomes void 30 days.
That is not something that we are going to decide here.
Well,
We stand by the annexation. We stand by it and
y'all
that,
stand by it.
we stand
but
by
it
it.
was voided 30 days afterwards. 120 days after he brought the paperwork in here, he said, I want to annex this. 120 days later, if y'all don't have everything done, it's void. It is void, according to the statute. Apparently, your attorney
No.
agrees because she's not saying nothing.
No, there's just nothing we can tell, that we do not agree. We believe that the way it is, the law is written and the time limits given to allow for occasional procedural missteps, that it stands. That is
That's
the
the law.
opinion, that
It
is,
doesn't.
well,
It was
we are not gonna decide that. That would have to be decided in a court of law.
You're right, and I guess that's where we're going.
Hi,
Mr. Meltzer,
thank you for getting this.
you have just a few more minutes, because like I said.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna speak.
Yeah, I'm just,
Please, let me speak. Thank you. Thank you for clearing the mud out of my drainage ditch, and thank you for getting him to do it. We could argue about the law. We have a case, you have a case. You have a lawyer, we have lawyers. I used to run a company in Dallas, outside of Dallas, had big law firms, went to federal court over nonsense. It's not fun, it's not it's expensive. Everybody gets deposed, whether you were involved or not. My company was deposed for something that happened 2 years before I even got there. I don't recommend doing it. I recommend finding a way to solve this without having judges involved, without having lawyers involved, without making the lawyers wealthy, without you spending a lot of your $1 million of extra money you have in case of the budget problem, and without us having to reach into our pockets. And I'm willing to do that, put my money in, not a problem. I'd rather not. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We have a case, we have a good case. You have a case, she says it's a good case. Gonna let a judge decide? Okay, or we could solve this some other way. Figure it out. I thought that's what this meeting was about. Figuring out a solution. For example, okay, you're not annexed, but we need you to pay some sort of fee every year to support the services that you get, be them as they may. That's one solution. It doesn't involve lawyers. It involves people talking to one another, not arguing about something that happened before any of us were here. But I'm not hearing that. I hear that we made mistakes. That's true. I hear that they're procedural. That's true. The procedures are there for a reason. They're not there just because lawyers like to write, even though lawyers do like to write. They're there for a reason. And cases are won or lost, often by procedures. Some of these procedures, the law says, aren't voidable. If you don't do it this way, it's void. There's a difference between voidable and void. Let's not go there. Let's sit down, a couple of us, a couple of you, and say, what can we do? I know there's things you can't do, but I know there's things you can. And I know you can take your money and pay a lawyer to go to court with us. And that's a stupid thing to do. It's stupid to have 50 residents hate you. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Solve this with us, not against us.
Nobody would come meet with me. I said I'm available on Wednesdays.
When
Who
do
wants to
you wanna
come
meet?
talk to me?
When do you
Nobody wanted to
All
come
right.
talk to me.
Mayor Black, when do you want to meet?
I don't know. We'll see what happens after Tuesday.
Okay.
I mean,
So this is a workshop, but we can't get it on record like when we can meet.
Okay.
I said I'm
If
here
you're
on
still in the office,
Wednesdays.
there's my phone
And
number.
I said I'm here on Wednesdays. Pick some Wednesdays and come up from 8 to 4. 8 to 5.
No,
Yeah.
all of us have jobs and.
So-
I took off early.
There's no reason, there really isn't a reason to meet with you, Ms. Black, because you were very adamant, it's your job, that the annexation was, in fact, you told my wife and a neighbor of mine at the festival that we can have a meeting, but my position is not changing. So the idea of today, or tonight, was to allow the city council to have an insight into why Windmill Ridge and the residents are so upset, and to why we think and we believe on opinion that the annexation was not handled properly or by law, and therefore it should not be annexed. If you look, and I'll send this PowerPoint out because it has a lot more statues on there, but I'm not gonna mess with it now. But I really believe that it's important that the city council gets to make the decision. And that with your lawyer, so I'm assuming that you're still on the side of that subdivider agreement was correct and all that stuff. Like, nothing's changed, nothing's swaying you.
What I can say is that the city followed, well, exactly what the mayor said. There were some procedures that we don't have documentation were taken, but a lot of procedures were followed, and there were public meetings, we have documentation of that, you all have documentation of that. The council isn't denying that there were some steps that we don't have documentation that were taken, like the appraisal district and the consequences from that we're talking about tonight. But the law is clear that after 2 years, procedural missteps like that, you can't bring that challenge for procedural missteps, like you said about voided for void.
So you're comfortable going in front of a judge and having that conversation that the subdivider agreement was signed a year afterwards? Are you comfortable with that?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm afraid that's not an appropriate question.
Okay, here's a question.
Excuse me, it's the mayor's
Yeah,
meeting, and I think
everyone.
she'd like to call people.
We have gone past our 6:30, and like I said before, that we have a very heavy agenda tonight.
Okay.
And again, I
Meetings where it was just us and not everything else, because we knew this was gonna take more than 30 minutes.
and I'm not sure that we're gonna get into any.
Can I make one request? Because I think I have a right to make this, but I don't know if I do it in writing. Can I make a request that on the next city council meeting, on the agenda is a vote on whether or not this city council believes that the annexation was done properly and should stand?
I think that it's a more complicated well, it's actually a pretty straightforward question. I think that the council admits that there were some procedures that we don't have documentation were taken, but that does not invalidate the annexation as we've stated in the state statement.
Right, and that's
But you're saying that I'm asking for a vote for them to put it on record that that's what they believe?
What's the purpose of that?
There's
Because
no reason.
we get out of,
Let him answer,
the
please.
purpose of the vote, sir?
Yeah, the purpose of us doing what you're asking us to do, what's your purpose?
I'm hoping that after tonight, the city council will dig into 43.016 and all the legislation rules around annexation with development agreements and subdivider agreements and ETJs and realize how flawed the annexation was.
I already realize it, so I don't need to say it, I just said it to you.
Okay, perfect. So I'm hoping that,
A question.
sure,
So if the city doesn't follow this to a T, every annexation is voided, is that correct?
I
Does the
believe
law
that,
allow for any error?
well, there's voidable and unvoidable. A voidable annexation is procedural, it has to go to court. Yes, I believe that you have to follow the law to a T.
Who has to be the one to bring it to be the opposer to the city?
That is us and lawyers that would have to bring it to a court.
Is there a time limit on that? Because let's say this happened 50 years ago, when, documentation was very poor.
Yep.
People may not be around. Is there a limitation on time, saying maybe not 50 years, but much less?
I would make the educated guess that a judge would have to say, guys, this happened so long ago, there's nothing we can do about it. I think in this case, it's 5 years, and we have documentation of a lot of things that didn't go right. And just because there were procedural errors, I don't think that absolves you of doing the right thing. So the purpose, I think that's the reason. Why do we want it? Is we bought houses. There's 29 individual homes in Windmill Ridge Estates. That's 58 voters, by the way. And every home that was built by Malibu, Structure, Shepherd, and Drake Construction, they were told specifically, we're not in the city, we don't pay city taxes, and we get city services. We were told that. I was told that specifically by Mr. Lamb.
You were misled.
Spoke that.
Yes, you did. My wife and I met with you in your land and went to your house, and you told us that.
Does the
And
situation
you
like
don't pay
that,
city taxes, that's not even for me to even say that.
does that situation exist where somebody's not in the city, gets city services and does not pay city
That's
taxes?
ETJ. That's where the ETJ.
ETJ does not get any city services.
Yes, they do. That's what the subdivider agreement is.
No.
No,
Yes, it is.
Maybe for that instance.
The subdivider agreement, specific, and the development agreement, that's really the development agreement, will list out what services an ETJ could get. That's in 212.
all of the subdivisions get a subdivider's agreement, inside and out. That is outlines everybody's obligations.
Section-
We do not provide city services
Chapter
to
2-1.
people outside city limits.
Chapter 212, it talks about the ETJ, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is the reason you do that is so that the developer can do what he needs to do to make more money, which is in his right. Because if you wouldn't have, it's not just Mr. Lamb, it's any developer that's inside the ETJ. They can make the agreement that you will receive this, and this, police. It's in the, look at the section, I don't have it up anymore.
That's the same agreement that subdivisions inside city limits get. Reed Ranch, Old Town, that is not, but we do not provide city services outside city limits.
And every house and lot exists under the Wise County permitting.
Those houses could not, in other words, those houses could not have been built if it was not inside city limits.
Because why?
Because if
Minimum
you're
1
at
acre lot.
minimum 1 acre to have a septic.
And that was established.
So
in
those
1970.
houses would not even
And we
have been
didn't deal
built
with-
if they weren't
We did
in.
not deal with the county on our development.
Okay.
For that reason.
That's great, but
But then you have an instance where houses cannot exist in the county because, then maybe they're 0.9 acres. And the county requires if there's public water provided, it has to be 1 acre.
the septic has to be 1 acre, right?
Well, no, the lot has to be an acre. If you have well water,
It's 2 acres.
2 acres and a septic.
So how many houses would be encumbered by that?
All of our houses would be not 1 acre in that development.
But how would they exist in the county then?
But they do exist. It doesn't really matter at this point.
No, it exists because,
The county is not gonna come in and knock down every.
No, I'm not saying not.
you're correct, Mr. Witt, you're correct, that, what you're saying. The reason they exist today is because the builders and the developer made it, the developer made a voluntary annexation request to the city. By doing that, he was allowed to build these homes on half-acre lots because
Part of the city.
he assumed he was part of the city because he did his job. He gave the letter, he did all the plat work, he did all that crap you have to do to build, right? He did all that.
So
The
he
cha-
did his part and the council did their part to
And the
bring
council
Little
did
Ridge
not
as part
do
of the
their part.
city. They did their part as best as they
The
could.
city failed. Y'all you did not get the proper paperwork, you did not get the request, you admitted that you had procedural issues, right? And by signing the subdivider agreement on August 5th of 2021, a year afterwards, you basically signed an ETJ agreement. It's in the statute, look it up, section 2, chapter 212, it's in there. It specifically says, a city, a municipality can make an agreement with the developer to provide city services to an ETJ. That is why you have a development agreement to him. Then he looks at it and says, I don't want to be annexed or whatever, so he accepts it. Or in that development agreement, it can even have a time frame. You're part of the ETJ for 10 years, and then after 10 years, the city can develop it. The city can annex it. That's the law. That's in the statute, okay? But if he wants to be annexed immediately, he has to reject that development agreement because he's saying, I am not accepting that I'm part of this, that I'm going to be an ETJ. I'm accepting that I want to be annexed. You don't have that. Y'all do not have a development agreement. The specific law states that the development agreement needs to show annexation process, and it's not in there. The service agreement is not developed.
Something that
So we're going to go round and round on it?
So we're not gonna go round and round anymore because we need to move on with the rest of our
But
meeting.
that's why I made the
But-
request, and I was answering Mr. Ward's question, because I would encourage all of you to take the information, go to the internet, look up your 43.016 Texas Local Code for Annexation, look at section, chapter 212 for ETJs, development agreements, and you will see in clear sight what was and wasn't done. That is why I am requesting that at the next city council meeting, we have a vote by the council, after you do your research, that the annexation was or was not legally done, and if it was, and y'all still stick by that, that's your vote. But when you read the statutes and you read the law, you will find it wasn't, and it should be void, because it's clear, the word void is extremely clear in the statutes. So I'm requesting again to the mayor, the city administrator, that the next city council meeting on the agenda is a vote on Windmill Ridge's legality of the annexation. What is the process to make that happen?
I think they've heard your request and they can.
They can either
They'll
accept
take
it
it
or
under
decline it?
Correct, yes.
That's fantastic.
All right, we're going to move on. No, mister, we do need to move on. We have other things.
like the
Mr.
attorney
Wilford, can-
Answer
Mr. Hickman, I'm sorry. We have got to move on with our meeting.
after 120 days.
All right, Mr. Wilford, moving on to staff reports, please.
It was void.
Did anybody drive up there,
No,
Chance?
I have.
Oh, okay. No, it was on the screen, I didn't know.
Pardon me, it appears that we have closed out the PowerPoint
That may have been me.
for the meeting. So give me one moment here. Ma'am?
Continue.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Looking at the important dates coming up over the next few months, we have several holidays coming up in the next couple months, November and December. Obviously, we have Veterans Day and Thanksgiving in November, and then Christmas and New Year's in December and January. If there's one thing I want to draw to your attention, it's that we have a special meeting on the 10th of November. That special meeting, its purpose is to canvass the election results. And so please mark on your calendars. Of course, it will be open to the public. Anyone who wants to come and observe the canvassing of the election results.
I don't have a set time for that yet. I need to know your availability so we can set the time for that.
Okay.
Monday.
Monday.
Okay, it's Monday. At all, that day?
If we know far enough in advance, we may be able to arrange a virtual assistance. There are certain things, attendance, I should say. If we put certain verbiage on the agenda and we have the technology set up for it, we may be able to arrange virtual attendance.
Can you do virtually?
You did 6.
You need everybody here for that?
Special meetings require 4 to make a quorum. So we would
Definitely
need
be here.
in the evening.
I'll be teaching from 6 to 9 that night.
And you'll be there all day earlier that day, won't you? So you're just out that day. Coach, can you make it that evening? We do like a 6 o'clock normal type of thing? 6, Cody?
Yeah, it's a 6 o'clock.
Gotta have 4.
Yeah, 6
You
o'clock.
already know we're one down. 6 o'clock, okay. We'll have it at 6 o'clock on November 10th.
Amen. Moving on. For the election dates, throughout the election process, we've had these important dates up on the board. We're currently going through early voting. Election day is November 4th. The canvass will take place on November 10th. And the swearing in will take place on November 24th. Correction,
No,
November 17th to account for Thanksgiving. Pardon me. I apologize for that. Any questions? If not, moving on. We have a heavy agenda for this regular meeting. First, we're going to talk about the updated strategic plan. Then we get into a grants update. We'll talk about PIRA. Then we will talk about the proposed rezone for the athletic field across from the cemetery. Then we'll talk about the West Fort PUA. Then we'll talk about the TCEQ permit that we have pending. And then I have various administrative items for you. So with that, I'm going to get into the strategic plan. Now, previously, I provided a brief to council to explain that there are various ways that I have as the administrator to communicate with the council. Mostly that's done through the budget and through our weekly agenda and agenda memoranda. This is the primary document that the council has to communicate with me. And so when we update our strategic plan, it gives me a plan that lists the priorities and the goals of the council so that when I administer the city, I know what it is that the council is asking for. The strategic plan can change, the strategic plan can change at any time. If the council were to come together and tell me to vote for a change, that could happen. But generally speaking, the strategic plan is updated every year or biannually. And so a few weeks ago, the council met here and had what's called a strategic planning retreat and discussed what their goals were for the city and came up with this updated strategic plan. Our consultant for this strategic planning retreat was Mr. Ron Cox.
He's on the back there.
Sir, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to invite him up to give a brief on the outcome of our strategic planning retreat. Thank you, sir.
Mayor and council, it's good to see you all. Thank you for all the work that you do. It's a pleasure to be able to work with the cities that I've worked with over the years. And I will take this time to compliment you on your forward thinking and wanting to work through the issues and challenges that are before this city, just as other city councils do all over the state and all over the country, quite frankly. I've appreciated the effort that Chance has made to coordinate all this, Chance and Alicia both, to coordinate all this and put it all together. I promised the mayor that I wouldn't spend a long time, and I've heard maybe 15 times we've got a long agenda, so
Yeah.
we'll just keep this as brief as I can, but just to review where we started and where we are now. I interviewed each of you separately, individually, on September 2nd and 3rd, and then talked to Chance on the 3rd. We had our session on September 26th, and I visited again with Chance on October the 8th by telephone, and we worked on what's called the staff, on the implementation plan. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then now tonight is our final report. I have, as a result of the work that we did, I prepared a written report that's available to you. It's probably been available to you. Chance did a great job of summarizing it on this one sheet of paper. The implementation plan is a separate document, again, that I'll talk to you about in just a little bit. We divided our time together between talking about governance, how to govern well and consistently and predictably. And then we went into the planning part of that. In the governance, we talked about leadership, communication, understanding roles and expectations, and visioning and planning. In the course of the talking about the visioning, we talked about what are the elements of your vision for the community. And as a result of that, there is a draft rewrite of the vision statement based on some of the things that you've talked about that we'll see in just a minute. We talked about the role and responsibility of the council to set the vision, set the course, and to do that by adopting policies, plans, and priorities, and then utilizing your staff to make sure that these are administered properly. Vision statement. The statement in red is the draft change. And one of the things that you all wanted to do specifically was to reassure anyone who read the statement, citizens or others alike, that your efforts are around minimizing the tax burden for your residents, realizing that you have to have funds to function and to operate. And so that is included here for the first time in the draft. Chance did a good job of drafting the potential changes. For the mission, it talks about, so vision is where you want to go when you grow up, what you want to look like when you grow up. Mission is how you want to get there. And you want to deliver exceptional quality of life through this process by being responsive, effective, and maintaining affordable core services. Having fiscal responsibility and community engagement. And most of those descriptive phrases are new to the mission statement as a result of what you all talked about that day. So you see in the summary that there are 5 goals. There were about that same many goals originally, but they changed just a little bit. Some were combined with, I think there were 7. Some were combined, consolidated a little bit. And then out of this process, each of those goals has several objectives, some more and some less. What you see in the numbers that you see, if you remember, you put your dots on the page, so you'll see the relative priority of these particular goals. So to plan intentionally and invest in infrastructure received the largest number of votes from you all during the course of that conversation. And then next was promoting economic vitality. Next was protecting the public and the objectives that were established from the SWOT analysis that we did throughout the course of the day together. And then engage with community. And then exercise fiscal sustainability. Now, with the exception of that very first goal, the relative points that were assigned to these other goals were fairly similar. And so they had not equal weight, but fairly close in that regard. But certainly planning intentionally and investing in infrastructure was where your priorities are. As I said, I worked with Chance to review the governance model and work through the implementation plan. And basically what the implementation plan does, it takes each of the, I said objectives, but it takes each of the strategies. It takes each of the strategies and applies action steps to that. Action steps, timelines, if there are partners to be identified, such as TxDOT or the county or the state, those would be assigned. And in this case, Chance is the lead in all of these things, since he and Alicia are the only staff members. He's going to lead the process and work through those the implementation of that. But there is an accountability section there where Chance will give you regular reports to let you know what the progress is, has been, or maybe perhaps why there was no progress, which is always inevitable with a small staff and a lot to do. But it will provide a way for you all to be kept up to date. The last thing that I would hate to hear would be to come back and say, well, we didn't really do anything with that, or it's just collecting dust on the shelf. And so I know Chance well enough to know he's not going to let that happen, but it also the accountability also allows you to understand that it will happen and be able to see the fruits of your labor. So the idea was for us to build a corral, if you'll recall, so that we can, so that staff as well as you all will know where you're headed and why, and have it in a predictable and consistent way. And so I appreciate very much the opportunity that you all gave for me to come and work with you. And I know that, and I will say that this was one of the better sessions that I've had maybe this year, but it was a great session. Y'all really dug in well and worked well together. I appreciate that. I'll answer questions if you have any, but turn it back over to Chance if you don't.
You have any questions?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Do I have any questions from the mayor or council? This is an item that will appear on the deliberation agenda for a vote. Okay. Moving on. I have a grant update from Public Management Incorporated. So just a quick reminder, Public Management Incorporated is the grant consulting group that has been assisting us with two of our grant applications. One of them is the RCP grant, the Resilient Communities Program grant, which we have been approved for. The second one is the CDBG, that's the Community Development Block Grant, which is $750,000. We are on the cusp of being approved for those funds as well. And so Public Management Incorporated has done good work for us. I'm happy to invite Mr. Jake McAdams up to the podium to give an update. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to see you again. Chance, thank you for the introduction. It has been a very busy month on the grant front, okay? And so there are several items on your consent and deliberation agenda tonight that I want to provide updates and then give an opportunity if y'all have any questions on those specific items. So to begin with is the RCP Comprehensive Planning Grant. As a reminder, this is through the GLO. This is a $0 matching grant. We were waiting for a very long time to get this contract from the GLO. That contract came through just a few weeks ago. We have already completed the majority of our field work. We do still need to do street inventory field work. We'll be coordinating with Chance and letting him know when that happens. But we are very active on that front. We are going to take that field work and initial data, work that up, and we will be getting with Chance to schedule a town hall to discuss the field work and those preliminary findings in a few months, okay? Just as a reminder of what that plan includes, all right, It will do a hazard mitigation type of plan, identifying the hazards in the city and working to mitigate those and harden that. Population study, a housing study, a land use study, infrastructure study, as well as capital improvements plan of all of the systems that you own. We are doing a couple of special studies as part of this, a parks plan as well as an economic development plan, okay? So there's going to be a lot of opportunities to have feedback and conversations. We're also going to complete a zoning ordinance as part of this as well, okay? There are a couple of items on your consent agenda related to this grant tonight, as mentioned. These are housekeeping items, okay? The first item is a signatory resolution just authorizing who within this grant is going to be authorized really to sign payment request, okay, as we move forward, really just a basic housekeeping item. And then the other housekeeping resolution is related to required civil rights policies. It has been a number of years since Paradise has had a CDBG grant, but these are going to be similar policies that the city has had to adopt in the past for previous CDBG grants. The language has changed a little bit, but these are required policies of everything that, frankly, the city is already doing, but the GLO requires us to adopt those fresh to incorporate that new language, okay? Before moving on to the CDBG, does anybody have questions about the planning grant or these two items on your consent agenda? All right, very good. The CDBG grant is the infrastructure construction grant. Okay, if you'll remember, we submitted that application last December. As Chance said, that's a $750,000 grant. That is a matching grant. The city will have a $15,000 match if and when that grant is funded. You will notice I did say if. The reason I said if is just because we haven't gotten to the point yet that they've invited us to submit the next application. There were, oh goodness, probably about 45 communities that submitted applications this last cycle. They award grants over a 2-year cycle. So they completed the first year of awards. We did not make the cut, the first year of awards, which is what we expected, okay? But this next year, which I'm expecting invitations to go out in December or January, I'm expecting them to award somewhere between 10 and 13 communities. The city of Paradise is number 4 from where they stopped last year. Okay, and so as of right now, I feel very confident that the city is going to receive a grant award, be invited to submit a project application. Okay, the project application is where the city decides what specific project you want to spend this grant money on. Okay, so I anticipate the city will probably want to identify some kind of water or street project, but there are a few additional options. Whenever we get that, we will plan to have a more detailed conversation. In anticipation of that award, we did go ahead and issue an engineering RFQ. Those RFQs were due on October 9. The city, mayor, and Alicia reviewed and scored those responses. We received 2 responses, one from Jacob and Martin, one from Meta Engineering. Jacob and Martin was scored as the most qualified vendor, so we actually have a conversation scheduled with them tomorrow morning to discuss a fee. So hopefully at your November agenda, we will have an item for you to act upon to award an engineering contract to Jacob Martin with that fee established to the best of our abilities at this time without knowing the specific project right now. Any questions on that grant, that status? Okay. One note about match, because that can raise questions sometimes. I expect that this grant will officially begin around February of 2027. Okay. So I do not expect any match will be needed until after, at the earliest, June of 2027, and probably even after that. Okay, so I do not anticipate any kind of budget amendment or anything else in this fiscal year's budget. Okay. All right. One final item to discuss tonight. A couple of months ago now, I think it was, Chance and I had a conversation about a park application. I know that the city is interested in doing park improvements. You have a couple items tonight, related to youth sports and recreation going on in the city. My understanding is that the city attempted to submit a park application last year, but I don't think that was submitted. Park applications, park grants is something that public management participates in. The last several years we've been very successful in. This is a pretty unique program for a variety of reasons, okay? But we do assist with both the application, and if the city wants assistance, if you're awarded, we can also do the grant administration if you want us to assist on that as well. One of the reasons the park and Chance asked me for a proposal, and so I provided that proposal. That's one of your deliberation items tonight. One of the reasons the park grant is unique for us is because we do actually charge an application fee on this, okay? It's a $7,500 application fee that is due the day after the application due date, and so that is payable following the application due date, based upon a percentage of the application complete, okay? These are very intensive applications. If the city does decide to award our contract tonight, we don't begin incurring cost immediately. Really, it's kind of once we hit that 25% application scope completed is really when we would start considering billing, even if the city does not submit the application.
What's the timeline on something like that?
That's a fantastic question. I expect the application will be due around August 1 of 26, okay? We're actually hoping to incorporate some of the community engagement as part of the comprehensive planning grant, okay? To go ahead and make sure we have time, because these applications are intensive. They usually take about a year to complete a successful application, okay? And so we will be able to start working, having conversations now, just kind of figuring out generally what y'all may be looking for. As we get into the spring, we'll be doing a lot of community engagement. And then whenever April, May hits, that's really when we start really hitting it and getting those costs put together, getting all the exhibits put together that haven't been put together yet, okay? And then I said grant administration. We do have a percentage of estimated construction cost for our grant administration budget. These grants range from, I've submitted some of these that are $75,000 requests all the way up to, for indoor projects, $1.5 million requests, okay? And so for grant administration, if you want that, it's a percentage of anticipated construction. I keep saying if you want it, because the park grants do not require a grant administrator like so many other grants do, okay? They require an engineer, but not an administrator, okay? So I always encourage communities, please take the engineering solicitation seriously. It is very possible that you could identify an engineering firm, if you're awarded, that is familiar with the program. You may not need a grant administrator, okay? All of that, though, is what will kind of get fleshed out during that application process.
What would your percentage of the construction cost?
It varies between 6 to 12%. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so obviously, the larger expected construction, the lower percentage our fee is. Yes, sir.
Have you ever done one of those parks grants where the recipient has land held in trust as part of the match?
I personally have not. but I'm familiar with the process. Depending upon specifics, there is a timeline to that, okay? The city doesn't have to, but you can already acquire the parkland that you're going to use as donation.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we already have.
Yeah.
And it's held in trust.
Okay.
So that would already need to be part of the consideration when applying for the grant. That we have the
Right.
land held in trust,
Yes.
that can be used as part of the city's match.
Possibly,
And that's the whole reason we did it.
possibly if you get Parks and Wildlife's approval prior to that, acquiring it. And so in that instance, you can use land as your match requirement.
Right,
Okay.
that's why it is being
You
held in
absolutely
trust.
can.
So that. we-
But if you acquire that property prior to submitting the application and depending upon specifics being awarded the grant, Parks and Wildlife has to approve you doing their process, and then they have to approve the process that you did in order to use that, okay? Generally,
Research on that to be done.
generally, okay? I'm not familiar with y'all's specific situation, okay? But that is something to know.
I think that's why it's in the trust. because
Yeah, that's the whole reason the
city
TARC, that's
doesn't
the,
really have it.
the
It's-
Okay.
Texas Parks Foundation, that's the whole reason they exist, is.
501c3, the city does not, the city of Paradise does not own it. That's
It's in
good.
trust, there's this whole thing, it's being held
That's
in
good.
trust.
Yep, that's good.
It goes,
Mhm.
the whole thing.
Yep, that should be good.
Alright. Alright.
It's currently owned by a 501c3.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, all the deeds been signed and stuff, and
Yeah.
it
So
was,
that
Yeah.
definitely sounds like, to this point, the city has done it appropriately in order for you to use the value of that property towards your donation.
Right.
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
why we did not accept it.
Yes, ma'am.
directly.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright.
Sounds good.
Alright.
All right. Any questions about the program or our proposed contract on tonight's agenda?
How did that work with the company that we met with at our Parks and Rec meeting? With what they said that they could do? I mean, I know they said that they would do a lot up until a certain point. And maybe grant administration was part of it, but not application. I don't quite remember. Do you remember?
I do.
Okay.
And so, for those of the council and the members of the public who might not know, we're working with a company called Whirlix. Whirlix sells playground equipment. Their business model is when cities get grants, they buy playground equipment. But if they don't get grants, they don't get playground equipment. And so it's to their interest to help with grants. They're not going to help with the writing of the grant. What they're helping with is planning out the site plan of the property so that we have a shovel-ready project prepared to turn into public management for the application.
Okay.
So they're completely separate.
But they would work together.
But we would take the product from Whirlix and hand it to public management.
Just one comment on that. I have not personally worked with Whirlix, but that is very common among vendors. I work with a number of playground vendors, both on the application side as well as during the administration. If there's a preferred company that the city wants to work with or you have a relationship with, that sounds great. And
Does that change your fee at all?
not immediately. No, ma'am.
Just thought I'd ask.
Great question, though.
Hey.
Great question.
It's a great answer, too.
It wasn't a no.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any other questions?
Council?
I have a question for the council.
Yes, sir.
Should Jake stay for the deliberation item, or have you asked him everything you're going to ask him?
You'll just be deciding on the fee for the parks grant. 7,500. Alright, can he go? Alright, thanks. We're gonna go ahead and let you go.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Sun comes up, feel free to call.
I will.
Okay,
Good night. And moving on.
moving on.
The next item that we have on the agenda is a brief from the Paradise Youth Recreation Association.
Alright, thank y'all for letting me come
Sure.
up here tonight. Kevin Hart, I'm the Facilities Commissioner for PIRA, also serve on the Parks and Rec as a board member. Y'all were just talking about parks, this is something we've been working on for like the last year, trying to figure out how do we go build a park? How do we do it in a way, with a city this size? Who do we partner with? So y'all have all given us that ability to go maybe provide that to our community over the next 5, 10, 20 years as we try to go build out the next park. But really tonight, I'm here to talk about our current parks and talk about all the good things that we are doing. So serving our youth, this year we had 453 youth registrations. That's not 453 individual kids, but that is through a fall and a spring league. 2 years ago, we decided to start a fall league for softball and baseball in Paradise. Most of the towns in Wise County have followed us. This year we have towns such as Springtown, Azle, other surrounding towns trying to come play in our Wise County leagues because we are offering that to our recreational kids and the services that we provide. So we had 42 teams this year. In total, we had, 28 teams in the spring, and then we had 14 teams here in the fall. And if anybody's ever been out to Leon Park, we have 9.5 acres. We have 3.5 fields, and parking isn't the best, but we're doing the best that we can with what we have. So what does the city do for us, and what do we as PIRA do in coordination with each other? So 2 years ago, we worked with the city council and the mayor to come up with a 10-year lease for Leon Park. That 10-year lease solidified the relationship between us, the city, or us as PIRA, as a nonprofit 501, and the city to operate at Leon Park and to provide recreational services to kids that are in Paradise and surrounding areas. PIRA is not only limited to Paradise kids, it is open to anybody in the surrounding areas. So what does the city council do for us, right? So the city council provides us a budget every year to use for Parks and Rec and to do certain improvements, maintenance, and things of that nature. So pertinent to our lease that we have with the city is my responsibility as the Facilities Commissioner to come up here once a year and to talk about all the good things that we're doing for the kids in our community. Talk about what we have accomplished, what we're going to try to accomplish this next year. So I'm just going to kind of read through this list here. So for those that are unaware, we won a water harvesting grant that allowed us to install a 50,000 gallon catch tank off our building out there. What that allows us to do is to water our fields. We put in sprinklers, all 9.5 acres, or all the fields that are out there pretty much. So we've been operating that for a year now. I can tell you that for a place that's probably never seen regular water, regular maintenance, the kids probably seem to enjoy it a whole lot better now. Something good that the community did, there was private donations that come in. We worked with the Upper Trinity Water Conservation District for the grant. Really was a successful project. Now that we're a year in, the system's working great. We're learning how to work with it. We're learning what it does good at and what it doesn't do good at, any kind of project that you're going to accomplish like that. So we also did field restorations on all 3 of our fields, adding the right dirt, the right conditioner, sand, putting sand in our outfields, putting certain grass seeds, trying to use the irrigation to our best of our abilities to try to make it a better playing surface for our kids. There's a lot of safety concerns out at the park if you haven't ever been there. We've worked tirelessly to try to do that. We shut down the one-way system that went through there and next to the concession stand, Field 1 and Field 2. There used to be a fence there, and everybody in Wise County used to drive as fast as they could to try to get back to Field 3. So we shut that down with the help of working with Precinct 4. Utilizing money to come in and widen our road on the backside of the park and to provide, it's not the best, right? But provide a good way for cars to get in and out while not driving cars next to the kids that are in a free open space to play now while they're watching their siblings play ball. Field 4 on the backside, we were able to enclose it, put up safety gates. We had a very bad situation where some of our bleachers were stolen last year. So we worked with the city. And due to there being insurance on those bleachers, doing the right thing, we were able to come in and build brand new bleachers on Field 3, utilizing a local Wise County company to be able to help us go do that. If you look up here in the top right, you can see that the new Leon Park sign, that was fully donated by members in the community that worked together with us to revamp and come up with a new sign to stand the test of time. Concessions, right? Everybody's been to a ball field, like eating hot dogs, nachos. So we were able to go in, fix up all the outdated plumbing, install new sprayers, which we as Pyre provided, install a new ice machine, which, if you ever had a kid get hit with the ball, you need ice right away, which was something that a lot of parents said that they wanted and needed, so we were able to install that, put a filtration system on it. Safety upgrades, if you look up at the top left, we just completed installing 4 new LED lights per field 1, 2, and 3. Electrical updates, there's been a lot of electrical work that's been done at that park since 1976. So we're just knocking it out as we go, and we've replaced a lot of breakers and put in switches to make it easier on coaches to turn it on and off the lights. We've added yellow caution gates and signs, and then we also were donated to add to our Creekside Road. A company donated a bunch of asphalt millings to put down, because if you've ever driven on a rock road, after a long period of time, the dust kicks up. Well, we don't have the dust anymore because we have millings on top of it, so the dust is not blowing on top of the fields. So you can see right there, there's our new bleachers there on the top. We have yellow safety gates all across the field, so people coming in and out can see. And you can see a nice, beautiful field there with the Paradise P on it. So what are we going to focus on for FY26, right? So we're going to repair and improve current fencing, dugouts, and backstops. Field 1, like I said, has been there for a really long time. We have a lot of fences that are falling down that was built with old pipe. So we have to be cognizant of that and try to figure out and do it from a safety aspect to try to go try to fix that one step at a time. We're going to try to do improved lighting for pedestrian areas. We've been donated LED lights to put on poles, but we need the electrical infrastructure, which we have been working on to try to get there so that we can put up more lighting in the parking lots at night when people are leaving, 9, 10 o'clock at night for those late games. Again, and more continued maintenance and improvement of the park. I mean, you can put as much dirt every year, you're going to have to come back in and put more. You have to put more sand out, so that's what we're kind of committed to. And also the Cedar Bend Annex. So what do I mean by the Cedar Bend Annex? So we have an issue where it's a good problem, right? We have tons of kids playing, but the problem is when you're playing games 5 days out of the week, those teams don't have a lot of time to get practice slots in when we're basically maxing out the park Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, most all day Saturdays. So they really only leave Sundays and Wednesdays open, and a lot of us like to go to church on those days. So we have an interim solution while working towards Nick's Park build out, which is what was just discussed. We would like to install 2 backstops for additional practice space due to the limited space with growing registrations of teams. We would like to utilize our parks budget for the backstop purchases. Pyre facilities will help maintain the area. 3 acres that occupies the field at Cedar Bend during the season use from February to May, August, November. Area north of the creek, the blue line up there would still be maintained by the city year-round, which y'all already currently do. Pyre will retain first priority during the playing season, like I said, February to May, August, November. Outside of that, it would be an open free space for everybody else to come use. Pyre would be committed to help maintaining that throughout the year, just like we do at Leon Park. Pyre currently, myself, and volunteers, we completely maintain Leon Park by ourselves currently with Pyre-owned equipment. And that is all I have. Any questions?
What's the monetary ask for that?
So we're probably looking about $5,000 at backstop. Now,
Per backstop?
Are these temporary ones? Or?
So they are temporary.
Used elsewhere ones.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that's kind of the thinking. If we get to a situation where we can move on the Knicks, we could take these well-constructed backstops and we could move them over the Knicks as we're trying to work a parallel path to go build out a proper field or whatever is going on with Leon Park at the time, right? We can, as registrations go up, we can kind of be fluid with moving that equipment around.
And is there any money left over in the current budget to offset the 5,000, or do you need the full 10?
Well, since FY started,
in addition to what's already approved?
no, I think that what we're budgeting this year between the city's budget and the EDC match would be able to cover those two backstops along with the other maintenance items that we're planning on with fencing repairs and things of that nature.
Okay, so they use the current.
We would use the current budget to go purchase the backstops.
So the one thing I will add is that one thing that we will need to do that we could probably get a good deal on, or at least it won't be that much, is to provide for maybe Aspen Site Rental to have a porta potty on site, because there are no facilities out there, and I don't know about y'all, but I don't like to go anywhere for any amount of time without knowing there's a toilet
I just use a cinder block.
of some sort. Do what?
I just use a cinder block when I was little.
Well,
No, I think those are the details. So these are the details that we can work out. We obviously want to have this in place by February
Okay.
for this next season. So if y'all vote in the consent agenda to approve with this, we would have to probably get back together at the next Parks and Rec meeting and discuss those finer details and try to lay them flat.
Zoning or anything have to change for this?
No, it's municipal services right now. It's within the city park, so.
Would we have to talk to the residents adjacent and say, hey, we good with this?
We wouldn't be installing any lights or anything. The
What
parking,
about the sluggers hitting it off to the left there?
yeah, the parking is to the east. There is a road, there is a entryway right there. We would probably come in with, probably some T-post and run some slick wire